will get rid of this ridiculous electric car mandate. We have to go and buy a car. We're going to buy a car, and it doesn't go far. You know, there's a little problem. It's very expensive, and it doesn't go far. So I guess they want to keep you away from going too long a distance from your home. But the whole thing is crazy.
As 2023 dawned with expectations of an electric car boom, the reality has been far from ideal. Recent setbacks for giants like General Motors and Ford, including halted construction and dismal earnings, have fueled skepticism about the future of electric vehicles over Vavi's O's. Even Elon Musk issued warnings. Yet, the gloom doesn't tell the full story. Despite the struggles of American automakers, EV sales in the US have hit record highs. China and Norway boast thriving EV markets, and second-hand EVs are gaining popularity. The desire to ditch gasoline remains strong, as seen in rising hybrid sales. The challenges faced by GM and Ford highlight the difficulty of producing affordable and reliable EVs. Hyundai's success, in contrast, showcases adaptability. Kia, under the Hyundai Group, is gearing up for a global EV push, leaving American automakers in the dust. While Toyota, once criticized for lagging in EV tech, is now embracing solid-state batteries and forming crucial alliances, American giants risk becoming obsolete. China and Korea are making bold moves, and Japanese automakers are scrambling to keep up. The electric revolution is inevitable, but the fate of industry titans hangs in the balance. Will they adapt and survive, or will newcomers seize the spotlight? The electric saga continues, an unpredictable narrative of innovation and the quest for a greener future. If you entered 2023 believing that this would be the year when electric cars would start to increase, permanently following some ideal upward development curve, a depressing wave of recent news may have left you wondering how and when you precisely landed yourself in the twilight zone. In the last few weeks, General Motors has had a dismal Q3 results conference, during which it halted construction on a new battery facility, announced a delay in the release of additional electric vehicles, and abandoned its aim of producing 400,000 EVs by mid-2024. Similar to this, Ford saw a loss on EVs in Q3 that was even worse than in Q2, maybe up to $36,000 per car. This was after Ford had previously modified its policy to prioritize hybrids over fully EVs due to rising prices and declining sales. Both automakers have had difficulty controlling costs and quality issues while releasing new EV cars at competitive pricing. Due to the high borrowing rates, even Elon Musk, of all people, recently issued a warning about impending production difficulties and seemed unsure about his intentions to build a plant in Mexico. Investors don't like to hear this, particularly in America, where practically everything is based on quarterly earnings, which are held in high regard. Was the EV revolution doomed to fail before it ever got off the ground? That's the underlying theme of many news articles these days, along with the "I told you so" statements from both current and past auto executives who would like to carry out their company's present operations rather than make significant changes. The early demise of the EV transition is not what we are now seeing. Rather, it's a reality check, and maybe a much-needed one. It turns out that it is quite difficult to change an industry that has spent a century producing internal combustion engines and has a vast supply network to support that objective into a company that specializes in batteries and software. More difficult than anticipated. However, this change is still required and unavoidable. The existing state of affairs provides evidence that the adoption of EVs will not follow a straight line, but rather will experience many ups and downs as well as victors and losers.
So most people buying EVs today are wealthy consumers. If you look at the third quarter, about 25% of luxury car sales were EVs. On non-luxury cars, it was about 3%.
Furthermore, many manufacturers see the issue as one of survival and tenacity, rather than the viability of electric car technology. Overall patterns remain positive. This news clearly doesn't sit well with Wall Street. The financial press is mostly in agreement as well, but it's important to keep in mind that, even when Tesla was burning money to develop its EV ambitions, those same investors and experts used to mock the Detroit automakers for not being prepared for the future in the same way that Tesla was. This is how it works. Any significant increase in new technology demands a substantial financial investment and most likely a reduction in earnings in the interim. Despite the fact that this year has already seen record-breaking sales of electric vehicles in the United States, more than 873,000 through September, with the first ever 1 million mark anticipated for November, makes it difficult to reconcile the newfound pessimism about EVs, or the reality that even a few models and brands that were formerly sluggish sellers are expanding steadily over the globe, or that nations like China and Norway already have a significant EV population, or the fact that second-hand EVs are attracting a lot of attention alone in the United States. Despite all of its issues, Ford managed to set a record for EV sales in Q3. There are always new EV models being released. 80,000 new manufacturing jobs are expected to be created by new battery facilities in this nation alone, and EV charging is also continuously increasing, with the latter being primarily supported by an abundance of government subsidies in the United States.
The U.S. is a lot bigger than some of the smaller European nations, and so we do not have this expansive EV charging infrastructure. It's growing, and it's stronger in certain places than it is others. So that still is a huge concern, and that has to be overcome if we're going to have massive EV adoption.
The desire of consumers to stop using gasoline is not going away, even in the face of a few poor financial quarters. The sharp rise in sales of hybrid vehicles is evidence of this. It is quite challenging for automakers like General Motors, Ford, Mercedes-Benz, and many more to produce these vehicles consistently, profitably, and on a large scale. For example, Honda's decision to leave GM's joint electric vehicle venture may have been motivated more by GM's ongoing development issues with Ultium platforms than by a complete lack of interest in moving toward electric vehicles. In Tesla's case, however, a lot of the expected injuries around the Cybertruck are self-inflicted. Musk wasn't forced to opt to build a truck out of stainless steel. Identify the solution, or someone else will. Efficiency has always been the goal of the automobile industry, even if rules have to pull it kicking and screaming in that direction. It also confronts challenging ones in the United States, Europe, and other regions of the globe that almost guarantee a future free of emissions. To Ford's credit, which is more than we can say about GM, they are moving in that direction. If this also means that more hybrids are sold along the road, it's also a net good for the planet and everything that lives on it. It's critical to understand that these trends are not occurring everywhere. This is not a test for EVs as a concept. Rather, it's a test for manufacturers like Ford and GM to see whether they can adapt to the times or if they are destined to become the next international harvester, which is to say, much smaller producers of SUVs and gas trucks for business customers, and, strangely, the Cadillac Escalade as well. To all those who are skeptical about EVs, BYD has a response, Xpeng as well. And the Geely Group, which offers EVs for sale in this country under the Volvo and Polestar brands and plans to add more. The Chinese manufacturers are not using gasoline-powered vehicles to achieve their goal of dominating the international market. Steep tariffs are making things difficult for them in America right now, but they won't be long in establishing plants in Mexico to make up for that little annoyance. When they do, they may adopt the strategy that Volkswagen, Toyota, and Hyundai have outlined: start off low, increase volume, and expand from there. Do you not believe that this recent electric show of force from China and Korea has scared the heck out of the Japanese automakers? Do you not believe that this is the reason Toyota, the largest car maker in the world, showcased such a significant electric vehicle push at this past week's Japan Mobility Show? Alternatively, why is Nissan rushing to produce solid-state batteries as well, after being accused of being behind in technology and even advocating against it? The largest automaker in the world by volume is now fully embracing solid-state batteries, new battery chemistries, and alliances with LG, Panasonic, and Idemitsu. Regarding EVs, Toyota has a lot to show rather than tell, but it may soon wake up as a major player in the market. It is not possible to walk away from an electric changeover. The need to decarbonize transportation is urgently needed for the globe, even if the interests of capitalism and the environment are never fully aligned. However, these automakers' viability is in jeopardy at this very time. If they want to be on the right side of history, they will need to be patient and put up with some suffering. Additionally, someone else will be if they don't.